Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. How's it going? It's me, Brandon, your host, and I'm joined today by my fellow members, the always handsome, always suave, Saf.
I can't stop stealing things. What is wrong with me?
I'm also joined here today by my good pal, Will.
I can't stop having all my things stolen.
What is wrong with Saf?
And as always, we got Noah bringing up the rear.
That 3% keeps making me reset the game when I try to steal things.
And so, I don't. You guys are making weird references. If it's not obvious, which I seriously doubt it is. This week we played Octopath Traveler, not to be confused with Project Octopath.
Very distinct, legally distinct.
Which I always find myself accidentally saying all the time still. But yeah, we played Octopath Traveler on the Nintendo Switch, recently released. Not too long ago, was a couple weeks ago. It was, July 13th, I believe, so it's about a month it's been out now.
Yeah, it's been a month.
Yeah,
Well, a couple of weeks.
Quick month, dude. Feels like the game just came out, man. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, we've all been playing it since release, here and there. We've all been pretty busy. I don't know. I don't think any of us were able to finish it, but we definitely sunk a lot of hours into it. Some of us, a lot of hours into it.
Yeah, some could say that you could have beaten 5 games in the time it took us to get like 3/4 of the way through Octopath.
Yeah. Well, you know, RPGs, man. It's
They take a while.
I'm gonna steal a line from Will, but it's the nature of the beast. So Octopath Traveler it's an RPG, turn-based RPG developed by Square Enix, also in collaboration with Acquire, and published by Nintendo in North America and Europe. Published by Square Enix in Japan, though. And honestly, this game made a big splash when it came out in terms of sales. It's so much that Square Enix wasn't expecting it. They underestimated how many it was going to sell, and there was a lot of shortages for the physical copy upon release, at least in Japan. Already a million seller.
Yep, already. Flew by it. Pretty exciting.
It is exciting, especially for this kind of game, especially on a Nintendo console. You know, because Japanese RPGs haven't really been hitting it off on Nintendo consoles in a while. I know Xenoblade kind of made a splash. But.
Yeah. For the Wii U, we had Xenoblade Chronicles X and Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That was pretty much it, right?
Right, yeah.
And so now, and basically in the year that the Switch has been out, we've hit a higher quotient than that already because we have Xenoblade 2 and now Octopath.
Well, not counting the 3DS. I mean, the 3DS was.
Oh, 3DS is madness. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't get enough of them on that. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. Like a big, home console Japanese RPG release. And if you haven't seen any footage of this game, it's got an old school aesthetic, and it uses what the developers they termed it HD 2D.
Yes.
And it's a very beautiful looking game.
Yeah. I guess the idea is sort of to apply all the effects you would put on a 3D model on a 3D environment, but on a 2D sprite, right? What is generally having pixels applied to all the geometry that exists in the game.
Yeah. So it is there's a lot of there's 3D effects going on, but it all looks 2D.
Has almost like a diorama effect to it, it's like you're looking in the box and like seeing. The game has a very heavy like focus thing. Like if things are not directly on the center of the screen, they'll just blur super hard.
Very blurry,
which is funny.
Very, very blurry in some cases. If there's a lot of foreground stuff going on. But yeah,
which works really nicely though.
It does. It looks, man. It's just a gorgeous looking game. It does get kind of dark at some points, but just all together, it's a joy to look at, man. It's very nice.
I remember when the January Direct happened, and they it showed up for like 2 or 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
When they had the Switch unveil, and I was like, "What was that? Hold on, go back!" Like, I want to see more. And I think that's the sign of a good art direction for a game is like when you see 2 seconds and you walk out of the presentation thinking, "What was that? That stuck out in my mind just from how it looked."
Yeah, you're looking at it, you're like, that looks really cool. That's same thing as like when I first saw it. I was like, ooh, that looks nice. I want to play that. I don't know what it is. I barely know anything about it, but I want to play it.
Brandon, Octopath Traveler is a weird name. Where does that name come from?
So the name comes from the fact that you have 8 main characters almost. You know, and usually in RPG you've got about 8 characters or so in your party. You know, but this game, they all kind of take center stage. They all have their own paths. They travel together as a group. But they all have their own goals, and each character has their own story that you play through. And there's 8 different characters. That's where the Octo comes from. Octo means 8. If you didn't know that, guys.
Whoa!
Wowee!
You learned something today.
Yes, we teach here on the Jump Up Supercast. We teach a lot.
When I upload this, I'm going to put it under the educational section of podcasting.
Please do. They should. All of our podcasts should be under that. #educational.
You sure about that?
So you have different characters. You have Ophelia, she's the cleric.
Can we do it because the little cheeky thing is that their names spell out Octopath? Can we do them in order?
All right, I'll try.
Okay.
You have Ulberic.
Yes, Ulberic.
He's the warrior or the knight. You have God.
Cordelia.
I was already doing it actually. I started with Ophelia. So you have Ophelia.
Yeah.
The cleric.
She's the first.
You have Cyrus.
The
scholar. Tressa, the merchant. Ulberic, which I mentioned, the knight.
No, that's not your
You have Primrose, the dancer. You have Alphen, the apothecary. You have Therion, the thief. And you have Honnet, the hunter.
We did it!
Woo!
Yeah.
Well done.
And so when you start the game off, you pick a character, any one of the 8. That character you pick, which I kind of wish the game told you this. It doesn't, but the character you pick, you're stuck with. They're your main party member.
Until you beat their story, they are locked in.
Yeah, I wish I knew that from the beginning because I started out the game, I picked Honnet, which I like. She's like one of my top 3, I guess, top 4. But I wanted Cyrus to be my main character, so when I went to swap him, I couldn't put him in the first position, and I couldn't take out Honnet, so I was like, fuck. But I hadn't gotten all the characters yet, so I restarted, and I got started with Cyrus. That's why I guess
Cyrus is a good pick. That's what I picked with.
He's my favorite, so by far.
Who was yours, Seth?
Cyrus is my favorite. He's my main boy.
Yeah, Cyrus.
Was he the first one you picked?
Yep.
Same. Yeah,
Wow.
me and Saf both picked Cyrus first.
So all 3 of you picked Cyrus. I picked Tressa, so I'm all alone with my little merchant girl with her hat.
Tressa is also very good. She's a main party member of mine.
Yeah, she's number 2 on my end.
My number 2 is Ulberic, but then it's Tressa and Primrose. That's my main party.
Your squad.
That's my squad.
Ulberic's
Unless I'm doing somebody else's chapter, then I gotta sub one of them out. But
Of course.
yeah. But if I'm doing one of those 4, that's my squad.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that there are chapters for each character, right? So
Yes.
that's sort of how the structure of the game is.
The structure of the game goes. So when you do a character, you complete their chapter. Their second chapter opens up on the map, and you can travel there. There's not level of requirement, but more of a recommendation. So you can see, okay, this is how far I have to be in the game, or how high of a level I need to be to tackle this. Yeah. It's just a recommendation. You don't have to be, but it kind of gives you a rough idea.
You could feasibly do just one person's chapter back to back to back, but it would take a lot of grinding, right? It would just be you doing that. So it sort of is designed for. The jumps are so big in between chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3. You want to do everybody's chapters at once, right? Sort of, because it gives you time to level up.
Yeah, exactly. I just do them in order. What I was doing was just I completed everybody's chapter 1. Went around, collected everybody, and as you do their chapter 1, they join your party.
Yeah.
And
that's sort of the sort of chapter 1 is where you learn their backstory, right? It's where you learn what their characters are.
Mm-hmm. You learn their motives, why they set out on a journey, and each character's story it's kind of solidated to themselves.
Yeah.
there is a little bit of character interaction. There's like it says like press plus to view a little skit, and it's always one of the characters talking to one of the characters in your party interacting or reacting to what just happened in the story.
Yeah.
And them having a small conversation about it. Not unlike the Tales games, how they had those little skits.
Yeah. Some of them I like a lot. Like there's one where like Primrose's chapter happened and I had her, Alphen, and Tressa in a party. And Tressa, who's like this, she's like she's the youngest of the group by far, and she's like setting out to see the world. That's her whole journey. She's like, "What's a brothel?" And Alphen's like,
"Yeah,
I mean, it's quite a thing." And Primrose is like, "Alphen, if you corrupt this poor little girl, I'm gonna smack the crap out of you." And that made me laugh a lot. I liked that quite a bit. So some of them are cute.
Yeah. Well, the characters, man. Each character, though, some of them are stronger than others in terms of storytelling. Or at least more interesting for me.
Yeah.
Some of them were very, very good, and I really like their motives, their stories, and their characteristics. A couple of them were kind of like, all right,
take it or leave it.
But honestly, in some of the other chapters too, surprised me. They get a little bit. Even the ones like Alphen, when I first did his, I was like, yeah, that was kind of lame. And then I did his chapter 2 and 3. And both of them were very strong. I liked them a lot.
Yeah.
And he developed as a character
chapter
very well in both of those chapters. They both set him up with a interesting like scenario where he had to be like, is what I'm doing the right thing? Like him questioning his own morals, which was very cool.
Yeah.
He's so nice.
He's the nicest boy.
So nice. That's unbelievable how nice he is.
Yeah, Ophelia and Alphen are just like, hey, we're too nice. That's our problem. We're simply too nice to people.
Yeah, so Ophelia, though, she's super nice, but her story so far has been my least favorite.
Yeah. I can see that. She's very much just like, I'm going on a quest, and like, here's the quest, right? Like, there's not a lot of...
Yeah, and her second chapter was putting me to sleep.
We've seen that kind of story like multiple times in many games. That's why.
Yeah, in RPGs. Oh, I got to go light the flames for. Yeah, we've seen that, and but Primrose,
I like her motivation. But Primrose is so strange in the scope of the game because her story is so much darker than everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's worth mentioning with the story of this game a little bit. This game had like 2 pretty big demos before it came out that I think did a good job of helping it become the success that it has been.
Yeah.
And the original demo had Ulbrich and Primrose. So like I had already played Primroses when the game came out. And I remember when I played it, because that was my first impression of the game, I was like, this game's dark. What the heck? And then I picked Tressa, and Tressa's is the most happy-go-lucky story you've ever seen. Like, she's just this, like, plucky kid that just wants to see the world and be nice. And
she meets a traveler who inspires her, and she's like, she gets a blank notebook, and she's like, I'm going to fill this notebook with lots of adventures and memories. And that's her goal.
Meanwhile, Primrose has been suffering sexual abuse for years to try to get back at her father's killer, and you're like...
Yeah.
Both things can exist.
Hey, it's real. It's real life, man, and it's really good. And Primrose, especially her character, is very cool to me. She's just willing to do whatever it takes for her goals, even demeaning herself. But she's really cool. I like her a lot. And Ulbrich was kind of okay, but his second chapter was fucking cool.
His second chapter was sick. Yeah,
his second chapter was awesome.
A lot of them, I think, get better with the second chapter.
Yeah, except for Ophelia, she's boring as hell.
That was with me and Ulbrich. I didn't like his second chapter. It was just
I thought it was awesome. Man, you throw a tournament at me and I'm in.
I love a tournament arc, baby.
I love a tournament arc. Just hit me with it. Dragon Ball,
Hunter
Show, One Piece, Hunter, Fairy Tale. You hit me with a tournament, man, and I'm in. Just it's my thing.
I did like how you could scrutinize and find out what the opponent's weaknesses are before the
that was so good. And that's a
very neat touch.
That's a good thing to mention, Seth. That each of the characters, besides just having job classes, has character actions they can do.
Yes, they do. They all have their unique like field character actions. So some of them are similar.
Yeah.
They kind of overlap. Like there's like 4 specific ones. They kind of vary even though between each character. Like Tressa can buy stuff from a character, or Therion can also do that, but he steals it instead of buying it because he's a thief, not a merchant. And Primrose can lead somebody around, and so can Ophelia. But Primrose is she allures them with her sexual prowess, and Ophelia is like, I will lead you to the promised land because I'm a
holy warrior.
She's she's a woman of the church.
Yeah.
So it's similar, but it's also different. But they each actually have their own like field skill, or not field skill, but like specific things. Like oh, go ahead.
Yeah, they have their passive skills. Like when it's like, Therion can steal open purple chests. Cyrus can study foes, get one of their weaknesses out at the beginning
of each fight. If they have a weakness, he figures one out for free.
Tressa's power is funny because this just must be a world where pockets are very poorly made because money's just flying out of them.
Yeah, because anytime you enter a new area, it's like a poor soul has lost this much money,
and sometimes it's like $1,000, and you're like, how did this happen?
I like the current kind of myth. Like the theories of Tressa, where it's like there's dead bodies and she's just looting them.
Oh my god, she's hardcore.
So, moving on. One of the things we didn't even touch on it yet, but this might be my favorite thing about this game, is the battle system.
Yes.
And the battles are turn-based, so we mentioned earlier, but they take place each at the top of the screen. You get to see the character order, the turn order, basically. And it's standard stuff with everybody has standard attacks. They have spells with SP, and they each have different moves they can use. Whether it's
that are attached to their job class.
Yeah, whether it's healing, whether it's boosting other characters, lowering enemy defenses, casting spells, attacking all enemies with one attack, kind of things like that. And they're all specific to their own job classes, and there's also BP, which is a battle point. Every turn, you earn 1 battle point. You can stack up to like 5, I believe.
This is like a carryover of the legacy of this team, right? Because they did Bravely Default before this on the 3DS, and the BP system's similar to Bravely Default a little bit,
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so you can power up your moves with the BP.
Yeah.
If you're doing a standard attack, you attack. You can do up to 4, and you attack that many times. Or you can, if you're doing like a spell, you power up your spell. So like if you're doing a fire attack, it'll hit for that much extra damage. Or if you're doing boosting, it'll it normally boosts for 2 turns. Well, I'm going to power it up all the way. I'm going to boost them for 8 or 9 turns. So it's very fun and very strategic to plan out. And also, each enemy has a defense. They have a little shield with a number next to it. And they all have weaknesses. Whether it's they're weak to a sword, a specific kind of spell, dark, light, fire, ice, electric. So they each have specific weaknesses. And each time you hit them, you drop that shield. And once you get it to 0, you break their shields, and they're stunned for a turn.
But the biggest thing, too, is they also take double damage from all attacks while they're broken.
Well, while they're stunned.
Yeah.
So it's very fun to, plan your attacks out based on, your battle points and the turn order and making sure you can break their shield before they get out another attack. It turns into it's very, very fun, especially in the boss battles where it gets like critical near the further you get to plan out your attacks.
Yeah, comboing with other characters and comboing with other abilities become quite crucial in regards to
it. Does it really does? Yeah, with either powering up characters, sharing BP or SP between each other. Because sometimes with Tressa she can share BP with other characters. So sometimes maybe you're fighting an enemy who has they have 3 shield left, but you have Ulberich who could they're weak against a sword, which Ulberich has, and I need Ulberich to hit this guy 3 times. He's going before the enemy, so let me donate the BP to make sure he can hit this guy 3 times. Yeah. So it's very. There's a lot of strategy to it, man. It gets deep.
Yeah,
It gets a lot deeper than I thought.
Yeah, and then later on you unlock the ability to grant secondary jobs to people. So essentially, once you get all of them, you can have all 8 jobs in a party at once, right?
Right.
Because you can have everyone can have 2 jobs, and those jobs will interact in different ways. Because as you level up, you get battle points that you can use that have just passive things that can be things such as like reducing enemy encounter rate. If someone attacks you physically, you have a 50% chance to counterattack, things like that. And so you add that plus the upgraded jobs that you get later on, and you have crazy amounts of potential runs for different characters, right? Different play styles. Like, I was reading in a group chat that had a bunch of people playing Octopath, and just each person had like, I have a Tressa that is merchant and dancer. Well, my Tressa is merchant and scholar. Like, and they had like arguments on what was the best thing, and that was cool.
That's the cool thing too, because I thought to myself, well, I want to optimize it, so let me look online to see what people basically agree on. What's the best class to give to somebody? Nobody agreed. It was like, well, there's no real good answer. They're like, it's how you want to play.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not like
that's how the best should be. Really,
yeah,
that's the best way to do it.
And it's not because it's not like they're bad. It's just that there's a use case for every single combination, right? And that's what's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I turned my my Ulbrich, I turned him into a warrior and a hunter. Yeah. Because I just went, you know what, this dude's gonna be a fucking physical monster.
Watch out.
Because the hunter gives you 2 extra weapons, and it's also a very physical class. So, oh man, he's beasted. He's just, and I get to combine his already real good, skills with some of the hunter skills. And I love the one that just lets you get it's like you have a 50% chance of hitting off 1 extra attack. Oh boy, with him, that's game over, man. Buff. When you're breaking shields.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where he just gets a turn by himself. And it's just, he gets 1 extra turn.
The thing that I love about it is that, like, because this all sounds, because there's also one where, like, I forget the thing, like Ophelia's class. She gets a thing where she can let someone act twice a turn, right? Basically, or like their attacks double, and so like you'll have, and then Cyrus gets an ability where he can cast a spell 6 times in a turn. So if you do her power on him, he's casting 12 spells in a turn. You're like, this is chaos.
Oh my god.
Like, it's nuts. But like the thing that's fun is that like the game is balanced with that in mind. Like, you have to make use of that stuff, or else you will have a hard time. Like, you will have to do a lot of grinding because the enemies have a lot of HP. They can do a lot of damage very quickly if you're not, like you said, breaking often. If you're not utilizing the drop system to its maximum ability, and so it's fun.
And the bosses, they get tricky, man. They pull some tricks out. They got ones where you can't hit them for their weakness while there's other lackeys on the field. They like summon extra people to help them, and while they have those people, you can't break their weaknesses. There's also ones that every time you break their shield, when it comes back, they add 2 more.
Double, yeah.
So it goes like 9 to 11 to 13, and all of a sudden you're stacking it, and you're like, dude, I gotta kill this guy because every time he comes back,
you have to make
harder.
Those turns where it gets broken have to matter a whole lot, right?
And then there's people, exactly. You gotta save your BP for, well, I gotta plan it out so that when I break this dude's shield, I gotta do as much damage as I can. And then there's guys who switch up their weaknesses, and like that gets a pain in the ass too. There's a lot going on with the boss battles.
And it only gets trickier from like chapter 3 onwards. Because like chapter 2 is just all like giving you softballs, getting you to build your characters and getting you to get different jobs and skills in order to improve. And then chapter 3, when you decide to go through that, that's when they hit you with like the crazy shit. It's like, okay, now.
No, chapter 2 has it a little bit, but chapter 3 steps it up the notch. And all of a sudden the boss battles take 15 minutes just to beat, but they're very fun.
I talked, because I knew I wasn't going to beat this in time for the game club, because I said, man, there's just so much game left. So I talked to a guy in one of the group chats who did beat it, and he showed me his final screen after he beat the game. He said he was like level 74, and he like had like a lot of optimization going on for the final dungeon, and he said even then he died like 4 or 5 times. Like, and so like the game, it does demand that stuff of you later on, and I think that's fun. I think that there's a lot of RPGs that I play now that I sleep through, that I just sort of get the three attacks, the 3 sort of good spells, and just brute force it. You cannot do that with Octopath Traveler. You have to be paying attention, which is good.
Yeah, you do. Even in some of the regular battles outside the boss battles. You gotta actually be paying attention and be strategic. Some of them will catch you off guard, man.
Yeah. I like that early on in the chapter 1 circuit, you would find areas that were way higher level than you, right? And I would think I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to fight these high level enemies and level up really fast. And then I would get my butt handed to me in one turn. And I'm like, well, see you later. I'll be back in a bit. Like,
yeah, because the game, it doesn't limit you to really where you can go. You can kind of go and explore the whole map if you want, but you kind of can't at the same time because it'll tell you when you're about to approach an area. It'll say danger level. And if that danger level is higher than your level, you might want to rethink going in there because you're going to get your ass whooped.
Pretty much.
Somebody going to get their ass beat.
But one other thing, man, there's just so much to talk about with this game.
It's a big game.
But the music also is something I just want to
Oh, man.
big fan.
So the two games I've been ping-ponging back and forth the last couple of weeks is Octopath and Fortnite. And there was one day where I like played Fortnite for like 2 days in a row, and Fortnite has like one song in it, and it's just like some. It seems like you could. I mean, not to insult the guy that made it, but like it sounds like it was made in 15 minutes. And then like I went from that back to Octopath, and there was this like beautiful orchestrated music happening, and like I almost cried. I was just like, oh, I forgot that music could sound so good.
Yeah.
I forgot that this could be so nice.
It is. And I was mentioning to Will the other day that, like, at first I didn't think much of the main battle theme, but I loved the boss battle theme. It's the first time I heard it. I was like, ooh, this is great. But the main battle theme, I was like, yeah, it's whatever. But I'm just sitting at work a couple of days ago, and what's stuck in my head but the fucking main battle theme? And it took me a minute, too. I was like, just, when you get a song stuck in your head and you're letting it play out, and you're like, this is a really good song. This is really good. You know how you got a song stuck in your head and you're like, wait, what is this even from? And I'm like, oh my god, it's Octopath Traveler's battle theme. I'm like, well, I guess it actually is real good because I'm jamming out to it right now.
One of my favorite things that they do, and this is I only noticed it after a while, is that if you have the character scenes, like the story bits, each character has their own theme that will play during their like big triumphant moments, right? And I noticed it first with Ulbrich in chapter 2 at the tournament when he's going into the big boss for that chapter. The theme of the character transitions straight into the boss song. Like as the battle is starting, you like hear it do this smooth transition. The song never stops playing, and right as you're about to beat the boss, it transitions back to the character's song. And it was like almost dynamic in how it did it. It was really impressive. I realized they do it with every bot chapter now, if you listen out for it. And I thought, like, man, that's that little attention to detail that matters a lot in making these moments feel big and important.
That's very cool. I didn't even notice that at all.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite so far?
I mean, I'm gonna go with Primrose.
Primrose?
Still my favorite so far.
It's either Primrose or Tressa. I like that pure-hearted little girl. She just wants to see the world.
It's kind of the same for me. It's like Primrose and Tressa seems to be like the strongest stories so far.
Mm-hmm. I like what's his name. I do like Alphen a lot. Like Brandon sort of said. He's turned around a lot in my mind.
Yeah,
and
same.
That's makes me like him.
Cyrus is also his second chapter went places, man. Real dark.
Sure.
It happens.
Real dark, real quick.
Yeah, it did. I like it though.
I almost like that there are some chapters like that, because if every single chapter was like Primrose's chapter 1 or basically any Primrose chapter, or like Cyrus's chapter 2, I think that would like wear you down a little bit, So I like that there are some chapters where it's dark and heavy. Some characters' chapters are a little light. Some are like in the middle, and like there's a nice variety to them, So it keeps it from getting too monotonous story wise.
Yeah.
I will say, one of the things that I wish was that, I wish there was more character interaction with all of them.
Yes.
I really do, because I think their characters, here are very interesting, and I would like to see a lot more of them, feeling like they're on a journey together, instead of these separate stories.
I mean, they do it, but they do it in the most inconvenient way. where it's like you have to
Yeah.
change out the character every time a cutscene happens just to make sure that you get their interaction or see them chat with each other. It's
Yeah.
very inconvenient.
Yeah,
Or-
it's very light too. You know, you get like 3 conversations a chapter between them, and they're very short. I'd like to see more. I just want to see more. You know.
Yeah. And like it is weird because there's also moments in the story where people will be like, so you came by yourself, right? And you're like, no, there was just a team behind me like a second ago, and they just all disappeared.
Right.
You know, like, and I get it. Like, and the other thing that I kind of bums me out, I guess we should mention there are side quests in this game. They're very open-ended. They're very much like they don't give you a lot of like hand holding on like waypoints or anything really. But
Nothing at all.
Whenever you complete them, your character doesn't like say anything. Like you see your character like do the motion for like they're speaking here, but they never say anything. And I thought the reason that they would lock you into the one character the entire time is so that would be the person that would always speak in those cutscenes. Because like for me, it was always Tressa because you couldn't move her out of the first slot. But no, there's just no dialogue period. So like those are little
that's
things.
The thing. Like,
they're not
if
huge.
they did have generic responses, sometimes it wouldn't really fit with the character that you have selected. And that's
Yeah.
I can see why they did what they chose to go that way with both the side quest and like the dialogues and not having too many interactions between the characters because there's 8 fucking main characters, dude. Like there's so many variations. They would have to put in like 8 times the amount of effort to have these conversations because of the variety. Somebody might have Cyrus, Ulbrich, and Hanet in the party. Somebody else will have like 2 different characters. Somebody else might completely different characters, and they'll have completely different interactions with each other. So it's like they saved. They would have to, like I said, they would have to put in a lot of work
effort
just to have a proper conversation in that specific scenario. So I can completely understand why they cut that out.
Yeah. But I think it would be cool for like Octopath 2 for that to be like one of like maybe let's give it a shot, right? Like we have this successful series, we have we can give it a shot. My deepest fear is that we had a very similar situation last gen with Bravely Default, right? Where Bravely Default did way above, it was selling out in ways that because Square didn't underestimate demand, and then their answer for the sequel was to give it a half the budget the first game got, and you're like. And you're like, oh, please don't do this with Octopath. Please don't screw this up again. Like, let them make a big... Because, I mean, we're probably getting a sequel for this game, right? Like, it was a big success. It's a big new franchise. I just hope that they give it everything that it needs to be good.
The first game is usually the groundwork. They see the experiment, to see, like, how well it does. If it does real well, then they already got the base. Now they can just make it better, improve upon it. So in the second game, we might see it that they have all those special interactions, like you guys saying, but you don't know.
For now, we get it. Yeah, it's understandable why they couldn't.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, you see in games like, Tales, how Tales usually has, I don't know how many characters. Usually about 8 in a party, right? You can only do 4 at a time, but
It's like
but
6
you
or
still
7.
get a lot of character interactions between all of them.
That's the thing. Like, the story itself
You know.
recognizes that they're going through this journey together. Octopath is like everyone's has their own story. Everybody has their own game, So it's like they're not necessarily mixing with the other characters.
Is that a thing that... Because I saw some people complain about that. Was that an issue to you guys that there never really is a... I think it might come very, very late in the game, but there's never really a big moment where it all coalesces. Like, they all remain pretty separate throughout all of their stories. Was that a thing that you...
There's like a weird dissonance where it's like you see... Like, because as I mentioned before, like, you get interactions, but it's like after every cutscene. But it's also as what Noah and Brandon mentioned, it's like the characters or the way the story progresses, it acts like those characters don't exist at all. And it's a weird dissonance between the fact that it's like you're talking to these people between cutscenes and they're reacting to what's happening, but no one else seems to notice that they're there. Like they're like fucking figments of your own imaginations, just having conversations with you. So weird.
Yeah, especially like
cool.
Ulbrich in the tournament is a big example. Where everybody's like, yeah, Ulbrich is the champion, he won. Well, actually, he had 3 other people fighting right next to him during the battle, but, just ignore that.
And like Primrose is chapter 1, she's like, I have to do this on my own. And then like you meet her and 3 random strangers are like, actually, we're coming along too. And she's like, okay, I guess this is fine.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. But I mean, those are like pretty minor squabbles in like a game that overall I think does a lot. They're just sort of, they're sacrifices that come with trying out this new format for an RPG, you know?
I mean, technically, you can get pretty far.
I
If somebody were to take just one character and, like, grind and get... I think they can go through, like, either Chapter 2 and maybe 3, maybe not 4.
No, that's a whole thing now. There is, like, character-only runs that are happening now. That,
so
like,
that
people
would,
are
in that
working
case,
on,
if
like...
somebody did that, the story would make complete sense. Like, everybody... Like, all the reactions would make complete sense.
That's perfect. Yeah.
All I know is that I've been going around every single town and I've been stealing candy from children. Actual candy.
I don't
from
really
children.
go for like the small items. I go for the 3% ones, like those armors and swords and special weapons.
This is my problem with video games. I feel morally bad at the idea of stealing if I could just buy it. So I'm just buying everything, and it's way more expensive. It makes way more sense to steal. Dude. But I just can't do it. I feel bad.
No, dude. Like, there's this woman in Tressa's first chapter. She has, like, a memorial fucking spear. Like, I stole that shit. Didn't really need it, but I stole it anyway.
If you do the Cyrus description, it's the spear of her dead husband.
I mean, there's no repercussions.
I know exactly what I'm getting.
And it's not like the character would be like, "Oh, I lost my husband's spear." If that was the case, I would feel bad. I'll be like, "Oh, oops." But they don't. It's like they act like nothing happened. So I was like, okay.
In my brain, they do, which is why I feel bad.
No, it's like, because like, it's the first chapter as well, because like, you're going to toss it away anyway. But I still stole it anyway.
Oh, you're an evil man, Saf.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is... I think that is one thing that I would like in a Octopath 2 is that they balance, because like really, I mean, there is no reason to do Tressa's thing over Therian's thing. There's no reason to do, so many of the like, basically, like Brandon said, there's like the 2 of every type, and like the thing is you either can like pay or do a thing that like is not quite as effective, or run or do a roll like a percentage chance to get a better result, right?
Yeah.
So like,
I hate Honets though compared to.
Ulbrich's.
Because Haunted, you can only summon your fucking animals.
Yeah, which they very quickly drop off in power. They quickly become weaker than Ulbrich would be. And you can't heal either, which is annoying.
Oh, you can if you just,
Well, if you have like the animals, but like with Ulbrich, you have access to all your items, right? So like I just have 50 healing grapes, which is more.
You can heal with Haunted, I think. As well.
Yeah, I mean you have to have like the pig.
No, I think you can use items.
Can you use items?
Yeah,
well,
you can.
that's much harder than I thought it would be.
It's just as stupid and will literally every turn automatically open it up. But you can hit B and go use items.
Oh, well, great. I had no idea.
It just automatically opens up the menu, though, for some reason.
I kept going back to that starting forest and getting those dumb pigs so they could heal me over and over.
You don't have to do that.
There are other animals that can heal you. Like the fucking...
Yeah, but that's just the one I knew where there was an easy catch.
Ulbrich, though, his thing is better to me than Hannes.
It's...
For sure,
It's so funny, though. Like, I don't know why because they're sort of like... They sort of position it as like... You know, like Tressa's is the more honorable thing. Therian's the less like Ophelia and Primrose. Yeah. With Ulbrich and Haunted, it makes no sense. Both of them are just randomly beating up strangers. But Haunet's is like a bad guy thing. Yeah. People are like, oh, I can't. Yeah, versus like Challenge where people are like, I would love to fight you, warrior, and you're like, Ulbrich's just beating this poor man.
And they're like, oh, what a great fight! Oh, thank you for the challenge or whatever. After you beat the fuck out of him.
Well, one's beating a man, the other one's just potential animal abuse.
And I think Cyrus's is supposed to be...
well, he's scrutinizing. He's getting in other people's business and just...
He's scrutinizing, yeah. But Alphen. Between him and Elfin, they're fucking exactly the same.
They're the same.
Even just one, they're just called 2 different things, but they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there are improvements to make it with Octopath 2, but I still think that Octopath right now is still a really good game.
It is still a very solid, very good foundation for a series and a very fun game that has a lot of it has a lot of interesting mechanics in the battle system, and the whole 8 different character thing is something that really hasn't been done in an RPG like this before, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
like this.
It's a successful new JRPG series. We don't get those very often, you know? Like
A lot, not anymore. And yeah. Western RPGs have kind of taken over in the last like 5-10 years.
Well, we're taking it back.
So
like all the big ones are getting into double digits, you know? Like
yeah.
we're at 11 and 15 for Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy and Tales has had a ton of games.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, JRPGs, man. Honestly, I've always been a JRPG guy over Western RPGs. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still like them both, but I've always preferred Japanese RPGs a lot more.
Fucking weeb.
So I don't know. It was exciting, man. I'm glad there's a new one. It feels right at home, and you know, I really hated the whole. Oh, why would I spend $60 on an indie game? That was very ignorant for for a lot of people. That was like,
especially for how big this game is, you know?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, come on.
jeez.
I've played some RPGs that are indie games, dude. They last 5 to 10 hours at most. All right.
Yeah. This thing's like 70, 80 hours.
Yeah. Unless
Saf's at 95 and he's not even halfway through the game.
No, Saf's at over 100 and I'm ahead of him, and I'm at 55 in terms of the story.
In terms of the main
just
story,
absolutely loves his damn side quest so much.
He's a madman.
What did I say? I said Saf playing an RPG, he has a thirst that cannot be quenched when it comes to side quests.
I believe your exact words to me were, "You are a ridiculous man when it comes to RPGs."
I said you are a ridiculous man when it comes to RPGs, and you have a thirst that cannot be quenched because you have 100-something plus hours, and somehow I have half the amount, and I'm ahead of you in terms of the story. You play this man, for context, this guy played fucking Xenoblade Chronicles for what, like 200 hours, and it
was over 300.
300, and he hasn't even beat the
Xenoblade
game.
2, yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I played 200 hours on my first playthrough, and I played 300 hours in my second playthrough. I played it twice. That's
a lot of your life. Yeah. Okay, I just want to say that.
Xenoblade Chronicles
I don't want to run
X,
the numbers on that.
I think I spent 500 hours, 100% in Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think I might be over exaggerating a little bit.
I hope
it
so.
might be 300, maybe.
He heard that that fucking song.
That is collectively a month of your life.
Worth it.
I don't. You know what, Saf? As long as you had fun, I'm sure it was.
As long as you had fun, then we ain't here to shame. Oh man.
So, you know what, guys? We've had a lot to say about Octopath Traveler. A lot of good things. It's a very good game. But now, we have to figure something out about this game.
What do we need to figure out?
We have to figure out where this game is going to place
On
the list.
The list.
And man, with new games, putting new games on the list is always very difficult for us.
Yeah.
But sometimes we regret it.
Cough, cough.
They who shall not be named.
Sometimes, we were pretty fair. Wherever the hell Mario Tennis Aces, I don't even know where that game ended up. Oh, number 27, which is fair.
27.
That's a fair. I don't regret that at all. I think that's a good place for that game.
Yeah.
But where are we going to put
I'm looking top
Octopath,
10
boys?
easily.
Whoa! Wow! Whoa!
That's saying a lot because this list, if you don't know,
is
we list games in order of how good they are.
the definitive list.
The definitive list, it's canon. No arguing with us unless you want to, but just know there's no point because this list is canon after we place it. You can tell us how wrong we are all you want, but man, we got a top 10. That's saying something big, man, about this game.
I was thinking a similar thing, Noah.
I went up. I started from the bottom and kept going up and up and up.
Goddamn. I spent 100 hours in this game, and even then I'm questioning. Maybe not.
Oh.
Okay, so okay, go ahead, Seth. Where do you feel it?
What are you thinking?
Would I feel it? Shit. maybe like lower the bar a little bit. Maybe top 15 right about.
I would put it. I think. I mean, I think I would put it at number 9. So above Left 4 Dead but below Phoenix Wright.
Interesting.
Question is, would we go higher?
I would put it above Phoenix Wright if you're willing to join me on this journey. I love that we said we might regret our things, and then we immediately go for the jugular on where putting this thing high.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe it's better than Super Smash Bros. Melee.
No, I definitely put it above that. But my
Castlevania.
My gatekeeper is Castlevania. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah. If I don't know if Octopath can make it into the top 5, guys. This is getting wild.
No. It definitely can't make it in the top 5. For sure. It's not better than Mario Party Deluxe.
Mario Kart and Melee?
I don't know. I mean, we had Mario Kart
hold on.
is somewhat
Eight
excusable.
deserves
Fucking Melee
that.
is not. Melee is going down.
Yeah.
Hold
Melee is
on.
fucking
Hold
going
on.
down.
This is a whole nother conversation.
Okay, guys, we gotta
We'll leave that
focus.
for another
alright?
episode.
We're gonna have a re-ranking episode coming up
Alright,
soon.
explain.
Then we can throw Melee in the garbage after that, but we gotta focus right now.
Explain yourselves. Why above Left 4 Dead 2?
It's like.
All right. Well, I haven't given it a spot because I feel like my gatekeeper is Donkey Kong Country 2.
It always is, Brandon. It always is.
It was come down to that.
I just think it's because, like, especially for today, it's so hard to make such a good RPG when there's been already so many in its play, like, before it. Final Fantasies, Dragon Quest, Tales games. And to make such a big impact, even when all these games have been what they are, like what they were when they came out.
To be unique among the
Exactly.
JRPG genre is hard.
It's
right?
very
It's
difficult. And it sets itself apart from everything just with its visuals alone. Like it made this is unique. This is our game. This is a special game. You'd never tried anything. And it actually does, like in terms of experience as well. You got 8 different main stories. That's so good. And the battle system.
I mean, not all of them.
And the battle
are
system is like it
home
might be
runs.
turn-based, but it's very unique again. Very different from whatever you have played. It has a lot more strategy to it.
We live in a crazy world where like 2 of my favorite JRPG battle systems of all time have come out within like a year of each other, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and then this game. Like it's hard. They're both incredible, and I think that like that's often a forgotten part of JRPGs is the actual combat. I think that there's so often the like preconceived notions of the warrior, the black mage, the yada yada, right? Or there's the feeling of like we need to make it action, right? We need to make it where you're doing dodges and you're warping around and stuff. This game says no, we don't care about either of those. Like we're gonna make our own path for how the JRPG battle system can evolve, and that's crazy. That does not happen very often, and I think it's really cool. And I think the Left 4 Dead 2 is good, but it's not like. It's a very good version of a multiplayer like level-based shooter like with your friends, but I don't know if it's like I wouldn't say it pushed the medium of its genre forward in a way that Octopath I think is.
Oh, I mean, it's unfair to compare them because one's a massively focused multiplayer and the other one's like a massively focused single player, and it's like completely different genres, completely different things, like apples to oranges.
No, but I mean, like Call of Duty 4, like pushed multiplayer forward, right? Like it changed the way that things work. I mean, and it was a unique answer to that. Like, I don't think
Left 4 Dead 1 at least pushed cooperative first person.
Yes, that is true, but not to the extent as JRPGs like Octopath did for JRPGs.
Yeah.
Just be aware as well is that they're only pushing one aspect of this forward, and it's just the gameplay aspect of it. Like a lot of the other stuff has been simplified. Like you're still going through archetypes when it comes to characters, and the stories themselves are.
I don't think so. There's very rarely a character. There's very rarely a character like Primrose in a JR. We both play a lot of JRPGs. Name me another character that is treated as seriously and like as respectfully as Primrose gets treated.
Well, that's the thing. Primrose is a great example. But not all of the stories are home.
Yeah, but I think that's fine. I think that it's also I think that like
really
the art style is being pushed forward. I think that this is a different answer to like the way that RPGs can look, right? Like
but you can't
there's been a homogenization.
You can't say that about the actual character types because you do see those character types everywhere, and they don't really challenge those mediums. Like Cyrus is a perfect example of that sort of thing. he's my favorite character, but he's the perfect example. It's like, oh, this is handsome, like, charismatic guy who's completely oblivious to women. When do you ever you see that a lot when it comes to?
But like the way that they're telling that story is unique, right? Like tell me another game where there's the format of this, right? Where there's 8 separate stories that are all happening separately, and like there's never a moment where it's like we have to slay the dragon. Like I love that there is not that moment. I love that that doesn't happen in the game. You can see credits and like it is a character story. It's about the character. Like they may be archetypal, but that format is different, right? Like and also the graphics. You can't
You could try.
I think it's important and good.
You could try.
You've not made a case for Left 4 Dead 2.
You've not made it. No.
You've not made a case for Left 4 Dead 2.
Because what I'm saying is like Left 4 Dead 2 may have pushed the medium, but they may have pushed it in an overall package. Whereas, fucking Octopath Traveler has only pushed one side of it, and it's the bad one. When it's trying to do
what is Left 4 Dead pushing? You didn't list
multiplayer.
Like what I'm saying is like also the graphics. Also, well, no, because it's the Left 4 Dead 1 multiplayer. Like it's very similar.
Yeah, no,
they put all the maps of Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2, right?
It was the perfection of it. It was the perfection of it.
Yeah, and like Octopath 2 might come out and do all these things, but like I think that there is something worth rewarding trying new things, even if they are slightly imperfect, right? I think that video games as a medium need games like this, right? Where like even the graphics, right? Like we said, there's nothing that looks like this out there, you know?
Is just not enough. You need to be successful as well as trying.
It was successful. We listed all the ways it's successful.
You listed the stuff that you listed the battle system, which is not the thing that
you disregarded the gameplay part of the video game, which I think is probably not
what
great.
I'm saying is that you need to hit a lot more than just one part of this when it's trying to be multiple different things.
Left 4 Dead doesn't tell a story.
It does.
It tells a story. It tells a story on walls, like where people are writing notes. Like
it's very light, but I mean that's also it's.
Yeah, but it's the apples to oranges, but it's the nature of the list, right? Like what I'm saying is like there's.
Left 4 Dead 2.
When you put it this high on the list, I expect
I don't know how I got into this position.
I expect a very, very high bar when you put it this high on the list, and it does not meet that high bar.
The way the list works is that it's around the games it's around, right? We're arguing for the games that it's around. Like,
and all of a sudden now I'm arguing for Left 4 Dead 2 against Octopath when I normally wouldn't in any other fucking
this is the list. Welcome to it.
But I mean, Left 4 Dead 2 though, you look at it and it's the perfect. It's almost the perfect co-op game, where it forces you. You're not going. I'm sorry, you're not gonna beat a campaign on Left 4 Dead 1 or Left 4 Dead 2. I mean, just by running through it by yourself. It's
but also, I think that like. There's been so many times that I've been so frustrated at Left 4 Dead, you know, like where I'm frustrated at the other players, like
it is.
Where you just get left behind, you know, like the game.
It does have
it's rough.
Issues.
Left 4
It
Dead?
does have its issues if you're not.
Yeah, I've been Left 4 Dead.
you were Left 4 Dead. Wow, what a fun. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the nature of the beast when it comes to a co-op game. If you're not playing with somebody who's playing it cooperatively or playing it, the way they should be.
But I think there were ways that they could have incentivized it better. That you could incentivize cooperative play, like because I do think the whole idea of like having to have people help you get out of the monsters attack you is good, but like having there be a reward for the person that gets you out specifically, so there's a reason to rush to do it. Like those are things that I think would be cool. And I'm sad we never got Left 4 Dead 3 because I think there are still improvements to be made on that game.
Because Valve is Valve.
Valve is dead. Valve
doesn't know what number 3 is.
They've never made a third game.
Yeah, that's true.
So for Counter-Strike Go, that's a third game, I guess.
They just don't like the number 3. That's all.
Naturally.
Yeah, they don't like the number 3. So, I'm inclined though to pretty much agree with you guys in terms of putting it at number 9.
Okay.
I lost.
Yeah, I mean, is it a better RPG than Earthbound? I think time will tell.
Yes.
Earthbound did not age well at all. No.
Earthbound has some moments that are unique and incredible, but as an RPG, it is as basic as you can probably get, right? Like, and so I think that I would put it above it, but also I love Earthbound.
I love Earthbound so much,
but I would still put it above it.
Yeah, it's See, Earthbound has this thing where I'm absolutely in love with the style, the story, like everything about the game other than the gameplay. I'm absolutely in love with. With the gameplay, it's just okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, let's be honest. Earthbound has a pretty simple look to it too, right? Like,
but I love it.
That's the whole appeal of Earthbound.
Still,
it's very simplified.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's basically
right.
from. It's like weird shit like a child would expect. Like it's supposed to be that sort of style. Like it's part of the theme. So can't really criticize for that.
But I think that sometimes that goes to the detriment of the game, right? Like Moonside is great in Earthbound as an idea. Moonside as in playing it is just a nightmare. It's so frustrating. Like it's just like madness, you know? Like
yeah, there are some things about Earthbound that aren't great.
That just sort of frustrate.
It's like, and I can nitpick about Octopath, but yeah, you're probably right. Octopath is overall probably a better game than Earthbound especially in terms of an RPG.
I'll put it below Left 4 Dead
in the battle
2,
system.
at the very least.
I'd put it above Left 4 Dead 2.
Well, it's right there.
All right, so we did it.
So we're not we have no thing.
Oh, do we want to put it above Phoenix Wright then?
Is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney better of a game? I personally think Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is a little higher than it should be because I think the sequels are better.
Phoenix Wright is in the situation where it was very early on in the history of the list, so it has a weird. It's gotten to carry itself out.
I think same shit I warned you about when you put it that high in the first fucking place.
Well, no, you argue what's on the list. It's the nature of the list because it's what's on the list. And this is why we have the re-ranking episode.
Nature of the Beast. Are we gonna make Nature of the Beast t-shirts?
Nature of the Beast.
You know what I like about the re-ranking episode? We all get one game, and each of us has 5 games we want to re-rank. So we're gonna have to pick the baby. You have to pick the one that you really care about.
Baby. Metroid
the baby. Oh, that might be it.
Oh shit.
I'm not wasting my pick on that. Okay,
so we put it above it.
I'm willing to put it above. I'm not willing to put it above Castlevania. That's my stopping point.
Yeah, I agree. Right? I agree. Not above Castlevania. Put it above
Phoenix Wright.
Guys, what if we put Octopath at 8?
I'm down with that.
Octo at 8, baby.
Yeah.
Octo at 8.
It fits. Okay.
Octo at 8.
Go there.
Okay.
It's got to.
I swear to God,
it's destiny.
If 3 weeks down the line, or a month down the line, we're like, damn, I wish we didn't put Octopath Traveler on the list. Number 8.
You know what it'll be in a month?
At you guys. So much.
You know what it'll be in a month?
I will use.
You know what'll be in a month? The re-ranking episode, so you can complain about it then.
Every single swear word that I know to you.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
It's gonna be good.
Well,
yeah.
It's gonna be rightfully so. Octopath Traveler at number Octo. Which, if you were paying attention earlier in the podcast, you would know Octo means 8.
Whoa!
So guys, we're gonna go around. We're gonna tell you where it is on the list right here. The games surrounding it. We got number 6, Super Smash Bros. Melee, too high. We got number 7, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Number 8, Octopath Traveler, newly crowned King of the Octos. Number 9, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and rounding out the top 10, we got Left 4 Dead 2.
You know,
holy howdy.
Smash Melee being where it is on the list might be my greatest achievement in the history of this podcast.
It's not going to be there for long.
It's not there for long, but because I don't know how it happened, but because everyone hates where it is.
I don't either, because I tried so hard.
Same. I'm blaming you, Muzzy and Saf, for this.
Wait, what did I do? I wasn't there.
You weren't here. That was that you didn't do.
There to save us. Anyway. That's it for the Jump Up Supercast Game Club for this week, boys. Wow, what a time! That was fun.
Great.
I just want to say thank you guys, but before we go, we got a couple of things we're gonna run around here. Check us out on social media, please. Hit us up on Facebook / Jump Up Supercast. Also on Twitter, twitter.com/Jump Up Supercast, and on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Jump Up Supercast. You can check us out. We'll be there a couple times a week streaming. We've been We've all been going through a lot of crap recently where we weren't being able to, but we're jumping back on the train. We just recently started again. So come hang out. Follow us on Twitter to get updates on when we go live. So, and subscribe and follow us so you know when we're online. Sometimes we even play the Game Club games. Ooh. And speaking of Game Club games, we're going to play another one in a couple weeks here.
What are we going to be playing, Brandon?
And it is, ya boy, it's my turn to pick the game. God, it's felt like forever, dude. And I gotta redeem myself because the last game I picked was Blinks.
Good job.
And if you haven't checked that episode out, please do.
It was bad.
Because that was a fun one. And I use the word fun very, very lightly. But this time I'm gonna redeem myself and I'm gonna pick Zack and Wiki.
Oh no!
For the Nintendo Wii.
For the Nintendo?
For the Wii, before Muzzy fucking chops my head off. Good thing he's not here to hear that. Mm-hmm. But this is a Wii game, and if you haven't played it, it's pretty cool. I've never beat this game. I've played it a little bit. I've had it for years, but I'm like, man, I want to go back because I remember good things about this game, and I want to actually go and finish it.
That's gonna be a real hard game to emulate if you don't already own it, baby. You better watch out because that game is all about motion controls.
It's all about the motion controls. It utilizes that Wii remote.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to playing that game. I might stream it. Who knows? But if you're interested in Zack and Wiki, play it. Come back in a couple weeks, and you can hear what we thought about it. So thank you guys for joining me today. I'd like to thank Will, Noah, and Saf for playing video games and talking about it.
Yeah.
What a great time. And I just want to say to everybody listening that December 7th is my birthday, and it's the same day as Super Smash Brothers. So I don't know where I was going with that.
Someone steal his
happy birthday, Mr. Sakurai.
I'm just very, very excited for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, guys. Holy shit.
I'm excited for Zack and Wiki to be announced for Smash.
That too. So go play some video games. Go play some Super Smash Brothers and have a great time. Be nice to each other, everybody. Goodbye.